Access Sportsnet Lakers, driven by your Southern California Honda dealers. I'm Chris McGee, James Worthy, Robert Ory, Allie Clifton is here. We got Brezen Trudell handling the post-game interview duties. The Lakers take the series lead 2-1. Despite the 20 turnovers and just shooting 25% from three, the Lakers roll to a 14-point win, guys, and they do it with their defense. They hold the Suns to just 35 total points in the second and third quarter combined, and to 95 total. Big game, James. It's been their calling card all year, and tonight it was special.
Yeah, there's only one thing that'll cover up for mistakes. You know, offense can't cover up for mistakes, only defense, and that's what kept them in touch. Both teams turned the ball over. I think 20 times for the Lakers. I don't know, 18 for the Suns, or vice versa. But the defense shutting down, I think, doing a good job on Booker, not letting Bridges get going. Nor Crowder, you know, they kept their players under control with the defense early in the game. So they got to knock down some shots and not turn the ball over. But for the most part, the defense took care of it tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of James. I think what KCP did on Booker was amazing. I hope he's going to be healthy for the next game. But he came out, he was hawking him, he was making him work for his shots. And then on the other end, I think Vogel did a great job about putting Booker in the pick and roll, because when Booker's have to work defensively, that kind of takes his legs away from him on offensive end.
You mentioned KCP. Hopefully we get an update. And hopefully he is okay, because outstanding job defensively. I'm glad you brought that up. And let's go back to Staples. Another big game. Dennis Schroeder is with Mike Cottrell.
All right, Dennis, things got a little interesting down the stretch. What was the key for you guys to just put the game on ice and get out of here with a win 2-1 in the series?
I mean, it's the playoffs, you know. Trash talks happen. That's a part of the game. But I think we stayed focused, you know, kept our head. Team chemistry, you know, we talk to each other, stay calm, execute, you know, down the stretch, and that's what we did. That was the game.
Dennis, I know you like a physical battle.
Yes.
Phoenix is bringing it. How does that play into the style that you guys want to play?
I love it, man. I played with CP in OKC, who was better in the bubble. So I kind of love that, you know, to get into it. Referees not always, you know, letting it go, but I love it. It's a part of the game, and it's a little chippiness, you know, still fair. I mean, that last play wasn't fair, but he got thrown out, so they took care of it. But end of the day, I love to compete.
What did you think about the second half and really into the second quarter, too, the defense you guys played, and then ultimately once LeBron and AD put the foot on the pedal and you guys got that run?
I mean, that was getting defensive stops, you know. After we got the rebound, we ran everybody down the floor. LeBron James in the third quarter like a beast, going to the rim, putting pressure on them. AD did AD things, so it's start to click, you know, and we just got to keep, you know, getting better every day. Keep working on some things. You know, you're going to watch film tomorrow where we can improve, and then keep going.
Dennis, final thing for you. First time in 8 years there's been a playoff game in this building for the Lakers. What was that like, feeding off the crowd tonight?
And that was the main thing. I mean, after 8 years, you know, to feel that feel again in the playoffs, to have that feel again for the fans, I think that means a lot to us, and I think that's what we've shown tonight.
Appreciate it, Dennis.
All right, thanks.
Lakers trio, we mentioned Dennis Schroeder and what he did in game number 2 when the Lakers got their first win of the series, going off for 24. He had 14 in that second quarter when the Lakers were kind of floundering offensively. Guys, he backs it up again this evening. 2 huge buckets down the stretch to kind of keep that cushion for the Lakers time run. He goes for 20 on 6 of 11, 4 assists. He's another guy that can take the ball at the end of the game, create and make it happen. LeBron James, I'm going to ask you guys a little later, maybe the best we've seen him since he's returned. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists. The energy, especially in the second half, getting to the rack, getting the crowd involved, and AD playing through some obvious pain. In that third quarter, he was special. He had 18 of his 34, 11 of 22 from the field, and 11 rebounds. Back-to-back 30 and 10 games for AD. That's the first time it's happened since 2003 in a Laker uniform when Shaq did it. Pretty incredible when you think of that. I want to tell you guys this and let you jump in. We go to that third quarter. The Lakers were 33-23 in the advantage. LeBron and AD take over. They combined for 28 points. Rob, that's the most they've combined for in a quarter since becoming teammates.
Man, it was incredible. The things they were able to do and the energy they played with is what you want to see them play with every time out. But I know it's hard, but at least they knew it was time to come out in that third quarter, because we all know how important the start that second half is. They came out and attacked. LeBron played with a lot of energy. AD was going to the hole. So many things happened in that third quarter. And you sit back and say, start every game like that, end every game like that. You want them to play with that energy and emotion. But I know it's hard sometimes to carry a team like that. But hey, this is the playoffs. That is your job. That is your role.
And when he's at the 5, he's down there a lot more often.
Exactly.
And he attacks, the catch and goes, the facilitating, the step back, the mid-range. It all starts to fall in place for him.
Yeah, I think the key is, Rob is right. You can't always start, like you want to. Opponents, they have defensive, plans against you. But I think recognition, and I think that's what they did at halftime. They had a meeting of the minds. You could tell immediately LeBron was not deferring anything. He did a good job of trying to get guys involved early. But that's what great leaders do. Somewhere throughout the game, they recognize when they're supposed to take over and how to do it. And I thought he and AD exemplified that in the third quarter.
Guys, I mentioned that defense because when you look at that second quarter and I think back, that game stayed tied for, it seemed like, 6 minutes. I mean, the Lakers were not scoring the basketball, but the Suns weren't either. And when you look at that quarter, the Lakers win at 16-12, and they go into halftime leading. That's the lowest point total combined in a playoff quarter for two teams since 2013 when the Hawks and Pacers did it. But that's your Laker defense for you. You can muck it up, you can make the game ugly, Rob, and then you come out in the third quarter and they're connected in all facets of the game. They're getting out in transition. Now they're starting to hit a couple threes. That's the first time maybe that you thought, okay, this is the Laker team that is defending a championship.
Oh, yeah, you go back to when AD and LeBron got hurt, how they were one of the top defensive teams in the NBA. And now everybody's back and fully healthy. This is what you can see when they put their mind to it. They go out and play an explosive team, the number 2 team in the West. Phoenix Suns, they have the best record in the NBA on the road. And so for you to lock this team now, put Devin Booker in check, have CP3 not a factor. I know his shoulders hurt, but he still was a non-factor. But the only thing is, Ayton still got his points, but they shut down everybody else. Payne, Bridges, and all these other guys. It's always about, you can't shut everybody down, but you got to shut down the others, as a lot of people like to call them, not let them go above and beyond what they normally do. And that's what the Lakers did in that third quarter.
And let's also remember what we've been through the last month. We hadn't had guys together, collectively for a long time. No practice time. LeBron out. AD came back. Schroeder out. Kuz was out a couple games. So this is a team also in process of getting back to where they were maybe in the bubble last year. So each game, they're starting to get better and better. You see certain segments being taken care of. Drummond getting involved. You're seeing, Wes Matthews being very impactful. So this is a good sign that they are starting to peak at the right time and getting back to playing very consistent basketball. And I think that's a good sign right now in going into Game 4.
We're waiting to hear from AD in a moment, so I want to keep talking about him before I get to LeBron. 12 of 14 from the free throw line. You know the stat when he's getting there over 10 times, Rob. The Lakers are going to win most of the time. How special was that third quarter, the 18 points? Because we know he was in some pain, but he would not stop.
No, he wouldn't stop. We've known AD of the past. He has a little bumps and bruises. He might sit out for a minute, but he's like, no, I stand in the game because I am the leader of this team. We all know LeBron is king, but when AD is going